This is my everyday carry. I use at least one of these 3 items every single day. And these tools have been carefully selected to be the most useful for me and my needs. More importantly though, I think these 3 tools are the most effective things you can carry for self-defense. And if you carry literally anything else, you're living in a fantasy land because you can't really fight. So what is everyday carry? If you're part of the tactical crowd, you're gonna say it's the weapons you carry about your person in the event that it's about to go down. And for the most part, you're right, but also EDC is everything you're carrying on your body. So not just whatever weapon you're carrying, but also your wallet, your keys, your watch, your backpack, anything that's attached to you is part of your EDC. So if you're the kind of person who's proactive about your personal protection, or even recognizes that your regular EDC is highly valuable and could get you mugged, you might think it's a good idea to start carrying around some kind of weapon. And this is where we start looking at something like mace, maybe a collapsible baton, the ever-trusty handgun, or even a knife. But I'll tell you the truth, I don't recommend any of these items at all. Before I explain that though, do me a favor and smash the subscribe button and turn on your notifications. Then, if you want to support the channel, consider becoming a Patreon or YouTube member. Memberships start as low as $1 per month and can get you early access to videos, one-on-one online training with me, and much, much more. If you want to become a part of the most badass online martial arts community, consider becoming a Patreon today. That being said, let's get back to the video. Now, when it comes to your EDC, I think you should be mostly carrying tools and not weapons. For the most part, a tool is multi-purpose, meaning you can hammer in a nail with a hammer, but you can also pull nails out. You can use it as a fulcrum, or if the mood should strike you, you can use it to bash someone's brains in. On the other hand, a weapon only has one purpose. Carrying something like a 9mm means you can pretty much only shoot your problems away. It doesn't make your life any better, except for in the very slim chance that you might have to use it in a life or death situation. And for me, that just doesn't warrant carrying it on my person at all times. That's why, in place of a handgun, I recommend something like a super bright flashlight, like the Warrior Pro 3 from Olight, the Take Flight 4-in-1 tactical pen, or my ever-trusty Kershaw Shuffle 2 in fancy olive green. I should mention real quick, I'm not sponsored by any of these products, I just really like them for my EDC. If you want to pick them up for yourself, there's a link down in the description, but be aware, I don't get any kickback from that. Patreon. Now look, I know everybody's got a flashlight on their phone nowadays, so illumination isn't that big of a deal, but look at the difference here. Phone light, Olight. On top of that, there's just way too many steps between pulling your phone out, finding the flashlight button, and finally activating it, as opposed to just... And whether we're talking about lighting your way back to your car at night, emergency use during a power outage, or just drawing attention to something, a flashlight has 1,000 different uses besides just self-defense. But when it comes to self-defense, there are fewer better options than blinding somebody with the fury of the sun. As a very wise sensei once said, if a man can't see, he can't fight. And if you get something like the Warrior Pro 3, you'll notice it comes with these little teeth that are very useful when it comes to bashing in against someone's head or against their soft tissue. So again, it's not only a tool to make your life easier, but it also helps keep you safe. Now, despite how much I like the flashlight as a fighting tool, its most valuable asset is the fact that it's non-lethal. Now look, I know every 10th degree keyboard black belt out there is saying, this is the streets. It's either you or them. But the truth is, that's just not true. Very rarely will you find yourself in a situation where homicide is A, necessary, and B, legally justifiable. Which means, most of the time, if you can use less than lethal force to solve your problem, you are required to use less than lethal force. And even if you find yourself in a situation where lethal force was justified, you're still gonna have to go to court to prove that's the case. It's just usually a better option to not introduce it at all, which again, brings us back to the flashlight. But for as much as I love my Warrior Pro 3, as soon as I put this thing in my pocket, it becomes, is that an Olight in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? Which might not seem like the worst problem to have, but when you're dealing with the condensed real estate of carrying your phone, your wallet, your car keys, your flashlight, suddenly this thing becomes very cumbersome and not that convenient. So I switched over to pen lights, which are a great compromise between being effective and being convenient. But they don't normally have the horsepower of the bigger lights, and you're hard pressed to find one with teeth. So I think a flashlight is a good option for self-defense EDC, but there's a lot to be desired in terms of convenience. But for that, we turn to a tactical pen. This right here is the Take Flight 4-in-1 tactical pen, and it has replaced the flashlight as my go-to self-defense EDC. As its name would imply, it is 4 different tools conveniently wrapped up into one. A pen, as in for writing, which means it comes in handy for taking notes, planning classes, or taking down client information. A flathead screwdriver, mini saw, and bottle opener. An LED flashlight, which, while not the brightest thing of all time, has replaced my need for a pen-shaped flashlight. And, most importantly for our purposes, a window breaker tip, which is supposed to be used for breaking windows, but according to my research, is very good for driving into someone's neck or other vital areas. Aside from being a good impact weapon, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you have to break a window, like let's say in a car accident or if you're stuck in a fire, having something that is purpose-built to break glass can save your life. This pen is basically everything a Kubotan wants to be and everything a pen flashlight should be, and still manages to be more. Now, I'll admit, the Take Flight isn't the most well-designed thing of all time. It falls apart kind of easily and the flashlight battery dies pretty quickly. But it also only costs like 25 bucks on Amazon, so it's not exactly the most expensive expense. And on that note, whatever you decide to carry for your EDC has to be something you're willing to break or lose. If it's not, you're not carrying a self-defense tool, you're carrying jewelry. Another benefit of the tactical pen is that it's pretty easily wearable no matter what you're wearing. Whether we're talking about a front pocket, a back pocket, clipped to a waistband, or even clipped to your purse, this thing is discreet and inconspicuous. Now, I will say I've heard that in certain places of the world you actually can't carry this around with you because it's considered a violent weapon, but I live in the great state of Texas and we can carry whatever the hell we want. Lastly, let's talk about the Kershaw Shuffle 2, aka just a pocket knife. The thing I like about my Kershaw Shuffle 2 is that the Tanto-shaped blade and grooved handle feel very comfortable in my hand. I can pierce or cut pretty much anything and I always feel like I have control of this thing. At the same time, the flathead screwdriver / lanyard attachment to it serves as a great extension to the weapon, because now I can attack with the blade or not. Now, I'll be honest, I like a lot about a knife for self-defense EDC, but there's also a lot of things I dislike about people who carry knives. For one, I think people tend to fall into one of 2 categories. Either bigger is better or more is more. To the first, we're talking about guys who are carrying a knife that is only not a machete because they're in denial. On the other hand, we have the more is more kind of people. And you can also think about this like the Batman mentality. These are the guys who carry a knife in their right pocket, on their left booty cheek, in their shoe, under their armpit, wherever. The idea is you have so many knives thrown about you that it doesn't matter what situation you find yourself in, you can always draw your weapon. This is a pragmatic way to think, but it is not at all reasonable. Because at this point, we're talking about cosplay. And like all cosplay, it is always fun, but it's never necessary. But if we can turn down the romance of carrying knives, they actually are one of the best tools you can carry with you. Most importantly, however, you'll notice that all of my other self-defense tools are pretty much meant to be used the way you would use a knife. And that's for good reason, because all of my weapons-based training comes from either Filipino martial arts or Taijutsu, where primarily we're using knives. And that's my biggest point with this video. Whatever you decide to carry on you needs to be something you're familiar with and something you can train with. It doesn't really matter if you go with a flashlight, a tactical pen, a baton, mace, whatever. If you don't train with it, you can't depend on it. And if you don't train with it the way you intend to use it, you can't depend on it. Meaning, if you're depending on a knife as your self-defense EDC, but you only practice disarming people with knives or dueling with knives, but never practice pulling it out of your pocket, good luck actually doing that in a high-stress situation. Ultimately, whether we're talking about man, woman, or anyone in between or outside that, the important thing is that you become the weapon. You need to train in such a way that you are dangerous, and whatever you put in your hand makes you more dangerous. So that was my self-defense EDC. I carry these things along with my phone, my wallet, my car keys, my headphones, and my backpack. These are the things that best serve the way I live my life. If you think I should be carrying something else, or you carry something completely different, or you carry the exact same, go ahead and let me know down in the comment section. All that being said, you guys, I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you learned something. If you did, please make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to see more great content from me, why don't you check out these videos right here. As always, this has been Rob from Combat Self-Defense. I want to thank you for all the hard work. Thank you for the hard work yet to be done, and I'll see you next time.